If you're like most folks, this whole concept of neurofeedback is brand new to you. In fact, even if you've heard of neurofeedback before, it's likely that this is your first opportunity to actually receive neurofeedback training. So the purpose of these videos is to kind of help you understand what this is all about, what you can expect with your neurofeedback treatment. In this session, we want to answer the question of what the heck is neurofeedback? I mean, like, what are you doing with this? And very simply stated, we're looking to address issues that are associated with mental health disorders, the symptoms associated with things like anxiety or ADHD or trauma, things like that, by looking at how the brain regulates its own electrical rhythms. That's kind of an interesting concept. There's a lot of work that's going on in the field of the neurosciences. There's a lot of stuff that we're learning about how the brain functions and the links that there are with mental health issues. And one of the things we've discovered is there is a very significant relationship between the electrical rhythms of your brain and those symptoms that are associated with things like, well, what would you say in anxiety? Feeling worried or stressed out, having racing thoughts, being hypervigilant, worked up, like jumpy, those kinds of things, or even ADHD, where we've discovered that by looking at a person's electrical rhythms, we can see and make sense of this crazy diagnosis called ADHD. When we take a look at it, we can see a difference between a distractibility type ADHD, or a zoning out type ADHD, or even things like hyperactivity or poor executive function. Those are all things that we can see in how the brain regulates electrical activity. So the first thing that you end up doing when you come to the Neurovation Center is we're going to get a sample of the electrical activity of your brain. It's actually a pretty simple process. We end up putting a cap on your head, and that cap, you'll get a bunch of gobs of goop in there. So I always recommend to folks, when you come here, make sure that you are ready to go home and get a shower beforehand. Nothing bad, trust me. I always tell folks the most painful thing you have to deal with when you're in my office is my sense of humor. But other than that, you put a cap on your head, and a person literally just sits there and stares at the wall for about 6 minutes. And we're recording what is called EEG, an electroencephalogram. That's a rendering of your brain's electrical rhythms. And then what we'll do is we'll have you close your eyes. And for about 6 minutes, we're just going to record that data. The cool thing is that information gets uploaded and sent over to two of our experts. We have two of the top neuroanalysts in the field that are going to be looking at this information, and they're going to figure out what is going on in your EEG. What is going on in the electrical rhythms of your brain? Most people don't know this. It's one of those little nerd facts that we like to throw around about brain science. Your EEG is as unique as you are. There is no such thing as what we call a normal EEG. So the benefit of getting an assessment here at the Neurovation Center is that you've got two individuals that have an immense amount of experience looking at thousands of EEGs who are going to be able to go through and they're going to characterize the features that they see in your EEG. They're going to find the stuff that we can link or associate with the primary areas of symptomology that you represent to us or that you show to us. We'll be able to show you where you have kind of like these ADHD figures or I should say the symptoms or the features that are associated with anxiety or ADHD, and make a really clear diagnosis and show you exactly where it's going on. So first step is we get a sample of the EEG. Second step, that gets analyzed by our neuroanalysts. Third step, we're able to show it to you in a report that you get that's specifically all about kind of the unique features of your brain. Now, it's from that point on that we're now set up to go into neurofeedback training. So when I answer the question, what is it that we're doing? Well, we're working with the electrical rhythms of your brain, linking those to the symptoms that are bringing you here to us so that we can now actually train them. Now, the neuroanalysis is cool enough. And most people walk out of my office thinking that this was the best analysis work that they've ever had done, whether you've done a neuropsych eval or a psych eval or met with somebody else to do a review, most people walk out finding that this is the most fascinating and interesting thing they've ever really learned about themselves. I don't want to talk it up too much, but you'll have fun with it. But then the better news is not just that we can figure out what's going on. The really good news is we can actually change the way your brain regulates and get rid of those symptoms. So that's the basis of what this is all about.